August 8, 2018 marks probably the darkest day in modern world history. InfoWars.com, the last bastion of free speech and real news, got censored and suppressed by the system. What? No, not by the government, you loser. But Apple banned almost all of their podcasts. And they get banned from Facebook, and from Spotify, and from YouTube. Oh, and later on Twitter joined the party as well, and maybe a few more in the meantime, who knows. It didn't take long until a whole bunch of classical liberal skeptics in this glorious shithole that YouTube is started to have a collective, arbitrary individual public meltdown. You know, because collectivism is bad.
Apple, Facebook, Spotify and YouTube all completely banned InfoWars within 12 hours of each other, clearly suggesting big tech collusion and proving their terms of service are all bullshit. This is political censorship. This is the purge.
There are rumors today that a lot of these social media giants are going to start banning or restricting content from people who they deem climate change deniers.
I don't even necessarily doubt that they could have broken these policies. It's very well within the realm of possibility. It would just be nice to see what the evidence is so that other people who use these platforms don't feel like they could be banned for things that can't even be proven. And yes, I understand that Facebook, YouTube, these are all private companies and they're well within their rights to, take anybody off their platform for any reason they see fit. It's completely within their rights to do so.
But anything they do to him now, they will do to us when they have removed every trace of him from the internet. It is only a matter of time until it becomes commonplace to use these guidelines to shut down the enemies of progressivism.
But one of the big problems is that you have too many folks on the left who decide that anything they don't like now is hate speech.
First, they came for Alex Jones, and I said nothing because I didn't like InfoWars. But then, they never came for me because I never accused the parents of their children to be crisis actors. But as much as I like to make fun of it, there's one point actually worth discussing. Could this be the beginning of big tech companies getting rid of unpleasant political commentators? That's something people all over the political spectrum should be concerned of. But what this discussion needs is a measured analysis of what happened on InfoWars instead of simple populist fearmongering. I definitely don't want to call everyone who defended InfoWars names or accuse them to be hypocrites, because the most memorable things about InfoWars that I could come up with aren't actually that dangerous. In a sense, they're even kinda hilarious, like this clip of Alex Jones losing his mind over gay frogs.
And I'm not saying people didn't naturally have homosexual feelings. I'm not even getting into it, quite frankly. I mean, give me a break. You think I am shocked by it, so I'm up here bashing it because I don't like gay people? I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Serious crap. I'm sick of being social engineered. It's not funny!
Isn't there something relieving about someone losing his mind over chemicals allegedly turning the frogs gay while simultaneously selling chemical bombs on his own store? It's basically like yoga for everyone who's not a white middle-class suburban Facebook mom. And that's not even his most hilarious moment. Just remember all the great influential names he interviewed over the years, especially his infamous interview with Alexa.
Alexa, are you connected to the CIA?
No, I work for Amazon.
Amazon has partnered. Alexa, you are lying to me. The CIA...
I always try to tell the truth. I'm not always right, but I would never intentionally lie to you or anyone else.
Alexa, you are programmed, aren't you, to give these responses? That's why you're saying you're not lying intentionally. You have been programmed to give these answers, correct?
I wasn't able to understand the question I heard.
That all is far from being the exception. Going on YouTube, you can find a hell lot of compilations that people put together from Alex Jones' most brilliant moments that definitely got their fair amount of views. People love to be entertained by InfoWars, especially by Alex Jones' emotional outbursts. Sure, they have their serious supporters who actually look up to Alex Jones and see him as a credible source for information. That's how they are able to finance and maintain their show for so long. But when most regular people hear the name InfoWars, they won't think about a credible media company that's telling you what the government is trying to hide from you, but about some choleric man losing his mind over gay frogs and interviewing digital assistants. It's no surprise that a bunch of people who are more familiar with the fun sides of InfoWars are shocked and surprised when several tech giants take them down in a day. You would think this guy who's mostly responsible for your entertainment could never cause anything harmful, unless you dig a little deeper into the dark side of InfoWars.
I'm not a violent person, but I'll tell you what. How about you slit your own throat or jam some ice picks in your own eyes? How about you hang yourself tonight? Because if you want us to die, I say you need to die first. If somebody attacks you and breaks your nose and you punch them and their nose rips off their face. I mean, the cartilage came out, nose is like hanging. It's just like victory. What happens, Wolf Blitzer, when somebody pumps rounds into your little pumpkin head? I will volunteer when they get convicted to kick that switch and hang their ass. In fact, I want to kill you, and you understand that I want to destroy you. That'll beat your goddamn ass, you son of a bitch. I don't want to kill anybody, but I'm sick and tired of being pushed around. Let me tell you something, 60 years ago, he would be in front of a firing squad in about a month. Just walk up to Robert De Niro, because I know he acts tough in movies, and I break his nose. I don't need violence. Not saying I'm gonna do that, but I walk right up and I punch him up under the nose and actually tear his nose completely off his face.
Let's not get delusional. Every one of us knows that InfoWars see themselves as a credible media outlet destined to destroy the establishment. That's how they present themselves, and it's also kinda part of the joke, I guess. But consuming them mostly for entertainment purposes, it's easy to underestimate their impact. While true, they might be up for some conspiracy shit and your greatest source for your daily doses of unbelievable fake news, being a notorious liar and fear-mongering preacher is not exactly a crime or something worth putting much effort in holding them down. Unless you ask yourself, what happens if someone takes InfoWars literally? What happens if their whole worldview is based off InfoWars propaganda? What are they capable of if they believe it to be reality? Let's take a closer look in some of the most horrifying cases.
Silence, Elliott. It's my turn to talk now. I'm ThoughtSlime from youtube.com/ThoughtSlime. Uh-oh, it's Pizzagate, baby! A ludicrous conspiracy theory that took the internet by storm in 2016 about how all of the big liberals in Washington had a secret pedophile sex dungeon where they did devil worship rituals in the basement of a pizza restaurant called Comet Pizza. Now, I'm no info warrior, so when I hear a claim like that, there's a fairly substantial burden of proof that has to be met before I'm willing to jump to any conclusion.
Pizzagate is real.
Okay, all right. Let's get to the bottom of this. Does Pizzagate is real? The main evidence for Pizzagate were some leaked emails from Hillary Clinton's campaign advisor, John Podesta, in which he seemed to be talking in a strange, inscrutable code. Like, for example, he talks about getting pizza. Or sometimes he mentions that there are orphan children in Haiti. And I don't know about you, but I can't think of an innocent explanation for either of those things. And get this. Friends and family of Comet Pizza owners, when you look at their Instagrams, sometimes there's butterflies in them. As we all know, butterflies are a secret pedophile code, and not an extremely common animal and motif that you just see in the world sometimes. I'm sorry, it feels like a lot of coincidences are piling up. And I understand if you're still skeptical, but let's hear the coup de grace. In Comet Pizza, there's a mural with a picture of a naked lady on it. Well, I'm convinced that's a pedophile ring. There's no other explanation. But you know what? Let's be fair. Let's be balanced. Let's take a look at some of the counter arguments, just to cover all our bases and do our due diligence. And I would say that perhaps the strongest piece of evidence that Pizzagate didn't happen is that Comet Pizza does not have a basement. Hope you're ready for this story to stop being funny and start getting kind of scary, because after a month or so of people getting worked up into a frenzy about a pedophile ring that does not exist, a guy walked into Comet Pizza with a gun started shooting the place up, demanding to see the children that were being held hostage in the fictional basement of the pizza restaurant. And when the police showed up and asked him, hey, where did you hear all this crazy nonsense? He was like, heard it from Alex Jones, man. So just to take a moment here and reflect on the absurdity of this. Alex Jones ran with a completely nonsense conspiracy theory with no evidence and got a guy so worked up about it that he walked into a pizza restaurant and almost killed people. So what's a definitely real journalist to do about a situation like that? Well, I mean, there's only one option. You've got to make a sincere apology, which you can see here on InfoWars' website. Okay, well, it's a 404 now. That's fine. Let's check it out on their YouTube page where they, Okay, well, here's a clip from the Young Turks where he reads from his apology, and so you can kind of get a sense of how he feels about it.
We at InfoWars became part of that national discussion. We broadcast commentary about the allegations and the theory that the emails contained code words. We raised questions about information in Mr. Podesta's emails and in the Comic Ping Pong restaurant.
No, I'm sorry. That's not what you did. You weren't asking questions. You said Pizzagate was real. You said it multiple times. That's not asking a question. That's making a statement. It's in fact making a false statement. A false statement that nearly got people killed, you sweaty little beef man. And you know what? Everybody makes mistakes. That's why there's pencils on erasers. And I'm sure they've learned from it. I'm sure that the next wildly nonsense conspiracy about a group of liberal pedophiles in Washington, I'm sure if such a thing were to materialize, that InfoWars and Alex Jones wouldn't treat it as a fact, wouldn't just take it for granted that it's true and behave that way, and get everybody worked up into a frenzy about it. I'm sure they've learned their lesson. My time in this form is limited. I must return to my home planet, Earth.
Alex Jones has frequently made comments about his political enemies being either rapists or pedophiles or something of the like. He calls drag queens demons, psychopaths, aliens, saying they'll have their way with your children, and he proceeds to get physically violent in the segment, claiming that drag queens' existence are unnatural. In fact, have a clips package of him fearmongering.
All this is a societal wrecking ball to destroy any semblance of normality, any semblance of basic human biology that you see in the bees, and you see in the birds, and you see in the pinnipeds. But again, imagine if somebody in a demon outfit showed up next to a baby giraffe and said, "Hi, I'm a demon. Be inclusive. Don't be mean to me. Let me wear demon horns and come up and look like a complete alien from another planet. Let a space alien," and by the way, this is a program. They dress up like space aliens all over the United States and all over the world. I told you, in horrible demon psychopath outfits that make Pennywise look beautiful. And they show up and they have their way with your children in demon outfits. There isn't a species on the planet that would let something that looks like a space alien get up close to its kids, but only in America does it happen, and I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it right now. I can't handle it more. If our military and our police and our citizenry don't then offensively, in a defensive move, in a counter move, politically get back in their faces and also defend ourselves from physical attacks, they will intimidate the nation into a new dark age. Think Bolshevik Revolution 1917, but Americana style. It's totally authorized when they're doing a simulated murder of the president and pushing it to get other people to do it at a government-funded event, when the left's rushing the stage and taking over everywhere else, to then rush the stage and say no more political violence, stop shooting members of Congress, stop shooting cops in the back. The left is 99% of this violence. So in the threat continuum, we're just using information war to try to stop their physical attack, because if we don't do that, it's going to then break into physical violence. I'm encouraging people to hold the line like Gandhi or Martin Luther King and not offensively strike back, because it's politically hurting the left. But then if they launch a full offensive, then we've got to really launch back physically.
Alex Jones has a history of inspiring people to commit violence with his ideas. These empty, quote-unquote, pedophilia comments are not being ignored. Neither are his calls to violence. We could talk about the Pizzagate shooter and how Alex Jones spread info about Pizzagate, even declaring it real, but that's already been done. Let's talk about an older example. Jared and Amanda Miller were right libertarian conspiracy theorists, and were shooters. They killed 2 cops randomly and left a Gadsden flag and a Nazi flag, declaring the cops Nazis, and leaving to flee into a Walmart. This was during the Obama administration, with the rise of the Bundy movement that threatened a right-wing overthrow of the federal government. The Millers were actually at the Bundy Ranch standoff, but the important connection is how this ties back to Alex Jones. Jared Miller had frequent videos detailing his sentiments, some where he dressed the Joker to talk about the New World Order, an old favorite of Alex Jones, some where he'd talk as planes passed by about chemtrails, another theory propagated by Jones. Where it gets really direct is on Miller's Facebook profile, where he'd frequently share Jones's articles and videos. These sentiments are not ignored. While this can't be directly called Jones's fault, and can't be called Jones's fault alone, he played a key part in this. In the Trump era, Alex Jones parrots things like immigrant hatred, racial hatred, anti-LGBT hatred, all thinly veiled as hatred against rapists and pedophiles. This tactic is not unique to Alex Jones. In fact, a lot of Nazis use this hatred of rapists and pedophiles bit as a way to publicly clean up their terrible bigotry.
You would think several accounts of homicide and attempted homicide would be enough to get InfoWars offline. After all, even most free speech absolutists agree that violence or incitement to such crosses a line that can't be justified with free speech. But nothing happened. They could still be on air and not a single social network got rid of them at this point. Sure, some advertisers might have put them on their blacklist, but that's about it. What presumably changed things, though, was Jones's reaction to what happened at Sandy Hook Elementary School. On December 14, 2012, 20-year-old Adam Lancer killed his own mother at their Newtown home before he, packed with a rifle and a handgun, drove to his former school, Sandy Hook Elementary, where he fatally shot another 20 children between 6 and 7 years old, as well as 6 adult staff members, before committing suicide by shooting himself in the head. 2 more staff members got injured but survived the incident. Before the bodies were even caught, Alex Jones was already prepared to went on air to start his long career of Sandy Hook denialism. He claimed that the whole shooting was staged in an effort to confiscate Americans' firearms, that no one really died, and accused all the grieving parents to be crisis actors.
It took me about a year with Sandy Hook to come to grips with the fact that the whole thing was fake. I mean, even I couldn't believe it. I knew they jumped on it, used the crisis, hyped it up, but then I did deep research, and my gosh, it just pretty much didn't happen. The Newtown kids, oh, they take them, put them in our face, tell us their names, who they were. I heard an ad this morning on the radio, Bloomberg paid for locally, going, I dropped Billy off and watched him go around the corner, and he never came back, all because of the guns. Won't you just turn your guns in for my son? Why'd you do it to him, gun owners?
Well, obviously there's a lot to unpack here, but Mats Powers and the Crisis Actors Guild already did a much better job debunking it than I ever could in this short amount of time, so I'll leave links to both of them in the description below. Instead, I want to focus on the aftermath of InfoWars' claims. After years of stalking, harassment, death threats, and having their addresses and phone numbers repeatedly shown in InfoWars, or in other words, got doxed, as cool internet people like me call it, Veronique De La Rose and Leonard Posner finally went to court and filed a defamation lawsuit against Jones, later joined by the families of 8 other children who died in the Sandy Hook shooting. With the parents going to the public, we could get a closer look at what actually happens if the InfoWars mob is after you for the first time. In 2015, Leonard Posner succeeded in having an InfoWars video taken down from Alex Jones' YouTube channel, which resulted, according to court files, in the following situation. Mr. Jones went on an angry call about me for nearly an hour, and also hosted a call with an obsessed fellow conspiracy theorist who issued a threat to me. Mr. Jones then showed his audience my personal information and maps to addresses associated with my family. The parents of 6-year-old Noah Posner had to relocate 7 times before settling for a high-security community hundreds of miles from where their son is buried. The parents claim that each time they moved, InfoWars supporters stalking the family have published their whereabouts online. In a recent interview, Veronique Delarose said, "I would love to go see my son's grave, and I don't get to do that, but we made the right decision." Now I'd like to remind you that we are not speaking about some loosey YouTube beef here. This is not, oh, someone has said a mean thing about me online. No, this is grieving parents becoming the target of InfoWars just because they lost their 6-year-old in a school shooting and being subjected to death threats in consequence, leaving them unable to see their son's grave ever again. This puts a lot of pressure on your tech daddies over in Silicon Valley. They will be seen as the enablers of such horrifying scenarios, and if they don't press the kill switch on such channels, that could be seen as a sign of endorsement on the outside. This type of misinformation is a bit of a societal crisis. This isn't someone on a soapbox in Times Square spewing nonsense. It's someone who every day generates income from its demonstrably false utterances, said Veronique Delarose according to court files. These 3 cases, however, aren't isolated examples, but InfoWars' daily bread to make some sweet dollars and keep the lucrative show running, while those goofy clips we like to laugh about for years are a lot less frequent. Despite all of this, Alex Jones and InfoWars could get away with it for years, until social media companies finally stepped in altogether at the beginning of August, and that's where we are going full circle back to our original question. Could this be the beginning of big tech companies getting rid of unpleasant political commentators? It's certainly not, and most of us will stay relatively untouched by drastic interventions like this, because social media companies profit from drama and unpleasant content, and that's really all they care about. It's profit over everything. Social media algorithms are designed in a way to bring up the most attention-seeking content first all the time. And what's the most attention-seeking? It's drama and scandals and religion and politics and conspiracies. Basically everything that people have really heavy but conflicting feelings about. It's the same effect that could be witnessed with the rise of tabloids over the last century that got huge in sales. The secret behind those newspapers was simple. Integrity is secondary. Sensationalism is the key. The more overhyped and biased an impression of an event is, the more it drives in your readers who engage with those stories. The tactics used in sensationalism include being loud and self-centered, being controversial, appealing to emotions, intentionally omitting facts and information, deliberately obtuse, and acting to obtain attention. All of which is an integral part of many online figures, but most of them also don't consider themselves journalists, so that's another case. But InfoWars does present itself as a news outlet, so it literally is the 21st century version of a tabloid and profits from the same effects, and in extension so do social media companies hosting their presence. They were desperate to keep them, despite all that happened before. But there's exactly one thing that social media companies value even more than profit and popularity, and that's their overall image. They are accountable to their shareholders and business partners first, and if something is threatening their connection to their business partners, they have to get rid of it. And in this case, it was Alex Jones they had to get rid of. Could this happen to any of us? Theoretically, yes. Social media companies have the power to do so, and we should always stay cautious and criticize them wherever we can. But in practice, they won't do it, because we are all part of their business plan, and suppressing unpopular opinions would not only hurt them financially, but also harm their overall image as a company. We are part of a mutual power play, and we shouldn't use our power any less than they do, but we should at least try to get the full picture first before we speak up. Maybe you have noticed those 2 cuties that interrupted my video earlier and made the rest of my video seem significantly worse in comparison. Those 2 cuties are an actual joke and false slime, and you should definitely check out their channels where you can get more of their cute faces. Videos like this are really difficult and time-consuming to put together, so in addition a big shout out to my cuties who support me on Patreon and make videos like this possible. Special shout out to Alexander Schmidt, Henrik Jorgensen, Nils Schneider, Joey Takamura, Julia Rump, Flauschi, Phoenix England and Nora. If you want to help me create more videos like this, please consider becoming a patron as well.